Just amazing how they don't see it. Don't miss out on the fun. Hit subscribe button and join our community for more stories like this one. It's just so amazing how they can't correlate our experience with someone else. So my mom is watching Alaskan bush people and she's going on about how weird the children are. I say children like that because their ages range from 32 to 12 and only one is underage. I'm pretty sure so. If you don't know who the Alaskan bush people are, they're these people who got a reality TV show and the parents went to Alaska and basically fucked off into the woods and started popping out children, and they homeschooled their children. And as we all know, education doesn't go very far in homeschool. So these children are poorly educated. And anyway, my mom's going on about how strange these children act/interact with others. How that one guy had a hard time talking to the girl he was set up with. And my mom goes on about how she hopes those children don't feel pressured to stay with them and do Brown Town, etc. I told her that these children has been kept in the woods their entire life and not been able to talk to people. So I'm sure it would be very hard for them to get a bank account, figure out how to apply for jobs, etc. They've never been around stores and saw how to use a credit card. So I'm sure they feel they have no choice but to stay because they weren't taught anything. That's how I put it to her. I didn't throw the fact that they are uneducated in there because I didn't want to get a fight started. I've brought it up to my parents, how I resent getting only a third-grade education and no socialization, so I chose my words carefully. What I really wanted to say to her was, these children have been isolated in the middle of the wilderness and given practically no education. That shit really damages you, and so they would find it really hard to find jobs and start a bank account and anything else in life really. Having literally no contact with others makes it so easy for you to be scammed, raped, murdered, just like it's all been so hard for me. Even though I've only now just got a job, but getting the bank account, job interviews so far have been really hard, and I'm really scared at how I will do at the job. It just amazes me how she recognizes that these children are struggling, but yet she doesn't recognize/understand why they're struggling. Just like she can't comprehend why I'm having such a hard time, when they've literally isolated me my entire life. Nothing in my life changed during the pandemic, it was the same as always. I might accompany my mom to the store maybe 4 times a year. Literally no socialization my entire life. I honestly never even noticed the pandemic. I would often forget about it, and only be reminded when someone brought it up in a YouTube video. And I was not educated beyond 3rd grade, and I have not had access to books either. I've only been able to read fan fiction on my phone. It's amazing they can't see the damage they've done to us. It's amazing how they can't see that lack of socialization/education damages people. Sorry for bad grammar and such. I was homeschooled, you know. Comments. I think it's easier for her to point out other parents' flaws rather than recognize her own mistakes. Reply. I think that's true in a way. But she doesn't even recognize that the reason those children are so weird and having a hard time interacting with others is because they were isolated in the woods. She doesn't grasp the fact that that affects people, just like she doesn't grasp that what she did to us damaged us. She thinks that the isolation and getting such little education that they imposed on us should have no effect at all. It's like she knows them/us have literally never spoken to other people before, but it just doesn't connect that that would affect people. Sometimes I suspect she does know but just doesn't care. She admitted to MV Brother once that the reason he was taken out of public school was because she didn't want to be bothered. Yeah, I get it. My dad said something similar while we were watching a movie together recently. It's a pretty frequent occurrence. I forgot the name of the movie, but it was about Mennonite women who were sexually abused, uneducated, screwed in basically every way, and decide to leave their colony/cult. I think it was released recently, so you can find it pretty easily if you want. Anyway, these women were discussing their options, and one of the women was listing the things she had a right to, like safety for children, freedom, the basics. And my dad said, education, as she was talking. Like that was his priority B. The girls were not being taught, like the boys were. That was my dad's priority BC. He saw how much the lack of education hindered these women. Education was arguably their key to everything, from having a way to make a living, being able to escape the abuse, to opening up a world of opportunity to better themselves and go to college. His comment really made me pause, though. He's always said that education is one of his main values. Meanwhile, he stopped teaching me like a year after he pulled me out of school when I was in 1st grade. Like, the audacity SMH. Reply. My dad said that's why education is so important when my mom was having some problems at work. She was working a retail job and he meant it's important to go to college for better job. It's so mind-boggling because they literally refused to teach us. I can't comprehend how they expected us to educate ourselves. I know I confronted them once about our lack education. And my dad said, well, you never asked me for help, even though that's a mega lie. I did ask them for help, but they were so utterly shitty/useless at it I just got frustrated and give up. What happened was I would ask for help explicitly, say I didn't know the problem, which should have been absolutely obvious because how I'm supposed to know something that has never been explained to me before? And he would be like, well, what's the steps, as if this was something I knew. As if this was review of something. He acted like he couldn't comprehend, like that school moves on to new things. There were so many times I asked for help and this dumbass responds. There was never a time he actually got off his ass and explained anything to me. It's insane that me, a child, was expected to tell them that I needed them to actually teach in order for me to learn. I was not educated beyond 3rd grade. How exactly do they expect me to go to college, etc.? Crazy how they can't comprehend how they've all made that a billion times harder for me. Subscribe and hit the bell button for the best Reddit stories available.